What does failure mean to you? Failure is when I do not reach my goal.
Why haven't you received any offers so far? I received offers from Boeing and Infospace. What kind of salary are you looking for? I'm expecting somewhere between $50,000 and $60,000. Have you ever filed for bankruptcy? No, I'm very responsible with money and I have great credit. Are you considering any other offers right now? I'm thinking about an offer I have, but I want to keep my options open. Do you earn any income from investments or hobbies? I have some mutual funds that perform about 8% a year.
Do you manage your time well? I manage my time well by planning out what I have to do for the whole week. It keeps me on track and even helps me to be more efficient.
Are you considering any other offers right now? I was considering an offer I received last week, but I don't think I'll be accepting that position. What do you do to stay in shape? I like to take long walks with my dog on a regular basis, and I also go on weekly hikes at a trail near my house. How would your mother describe you?
Since I was the oldest out of three, I think my mother would describe me as responsible and someone who is looked to for answers. How do you handle change? I have experienced many changes previously. I've handled the situation by quickly coming up to speed on the changes and applying myself to make them a success.
What are your short-term goals?
My short-term goal is to find a position where I can use the knowledge and strengths that I have. I want to partake in the growth and success of the company I work for.
What are you looking to gain from your next job? I want to gain experience in many areas of accounting. I want a position where things are not routine and where many of my accounting skills are utilized. What aspects of this job interest you the most? I'm very excited about this job because of the variety of different work. I'm well-rounded, and it's always exciting when I can use many of my skills for a job.
How would your professor describe you? My professor told me one time that I was like a fireball. I always had a good attitude that positively affected other students in group activities.
What do you do when you have a problem with your boss? I deal with different types of people very well, but if I have a problem that affects my work, I will openly tell my manager and the reason why it's bothering me. What are you looking to gain from your next job? I want a position where I'll be challenged. I want to learn a lot of new things, and I want to continually grow. So I'm looking for a job that will provide these things for me. If you're happy with your current job, why do you want to leave? I like the work I'm doing, and I like everyone on my team, but I have a strong desire to learn other aspects I can't learn in my current position. How do you handle conflict? I handle conflicts by analyzing them. I'm a very analytical person, and I feel all problems have a solution. I usually think about the conflict and find ways to deal with it.
What are your long-term goals? I want to become a valued employee of a company. I want to make a difference, and I'm willing to work hard to achieve this goal. I don't want a regular career. I want a special career that I can be proud of.
Are you a risk taker, or do you like to stay away from risks?
I'm reliable and believe in stability and guarantees. My work will be based on facts without assumptions or guesses, so I tend to stay away from risks.
What do you do when you have a problem with your job? Whether I'm happy or unhappy, I'll always do my best work. If the problem I have with my job is affecting the quality of my work, I will identify the problem and then take steps to find solutions. If you're given work from your manager that is boring and tedious, what will you do? My responsibility as an employee is to help the company succeed. If the work I'm given will help the company, then I'll do the best that I can, no matter if it's boring or tedious. If your supervisor tells you to do something that you believe can be done in a different way, what would you do? I'll suggest a different way of doing the assignment along with the benefits. If my supervisor disagrees and insists I do it a certain way, I'll follow the instructions. If you have problems or complaints with your current job, why haven't you brought it to their attention? I believe in being straightforward, and I told my manager on numerous occasions that I was interested in taking on more responsibilities. However, my current group doesn't have opportunities I am looking for. If you could learn something, such as a new skill, what would it be? I would love to learn more about auditing. As a tax accountant, I primarily work on tax, but I like all aspects of accounting, and I think auditing would be very interesting. What do you do when there's no work to do? When I have no direct work, I always find side projects, such as thinking about a process of some sort that helps with office efficiency. One time, I created a small tool using MS Word that helped our team speed up the mailing process.
What could you have done to improve your relationship with a manager you didn't like? One of my managers gave too much criticism. I value criticism, but hearing something negative every other day was difficult. I think I could have communicated how the criticism affected me in order to improve our relationship.
How do you intend to learn what you need to know to perform well for this job? The first couple of weeks are important. I think it's important to study the correct material, ask the right questions, and put in extra effort to learn what I need to know. This is what I usually do to make sure I'll be performing well. Why are you applying for a job that you didn't major in? I was planning on going to dental school, so I majored in biology. After working with computers, I realized how interesting and challenging it was, so I studied computers on the side because I wanted a career working with computers. You've been with one company your entire career. Don't you think you'll have a tough time adjusting to a new environment? I don't think it'll be very difficult. I learned that this company is very diverse and has a great office environment. I feel I'll blend right in and make solid contributions to this company. Who do you think are our two major competitors? Microsoft is competing with many different companies because Microsoft provides many different software. MSN is growing, and AOL is the #1 competitor for this business, while the Microsoft OS is challenged by Linux because it's free. Why are you applying for a job that you didn't major in? I majored in English because I like to write. Because I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, I majored in something I was very interested in. After working for a year on the marketing team, I realized that this is what I want to be doing. Did you do any internships? Yes, I did 2 internships. The first internship was for Johnson & Johnson. I worked in the distribution team, and my second internship was for Starbucks. At Starbucks, I had the opportunity to work on overseas ventures. How do you explain the fact that you frequently change jobs? I see that you haven't stayed with a company for more than 2 years. I want to work for a large company that has many opportunities. I didn't receive this in my other companies because they were smaller, but I learned this company has a lot of great work to do and a lot of different opportunities. If everyone on the team is a veteran, what will you do to fit in and be a beneficial team member instead of a person who appears to be in training? In the beginning, I'll put a lot of effort into catching up on any existing projects I join. I believe studying a lot in the beginning to be aware of what is going on is very important. What could you have done to improve your relationship with a manager you didn't like? If I communicated my problems earlier, I feel we both would have benefited. I waited several months before approaching my manager, and after our talk, our relationship got much better, so I could have improved my relationship by talking about problems sooner than later. Have you fired anyone? And if so, why? I had to fire one employee who continually failed to complete projects. Before firing this employee, I tried to work with him by motivating, encouraging, and even providing different work. In the end, nothing worked, and I had no choice but to let him go. What was your favorite job? My favorite job was working as a financial analyst. I wanted to pursue other areas of finance, so I accepted a position as a financial consultant. After a while, I realized how much I enjoyed my work as a financial analyst, so I'm looking for a financial analyst position. During college, how did you spend your summer vacations? My first 2 summers, I had to work to save money for tuition. But after saving enough money, I had a free summer. I actually ended up taking some computer classes to prepare myself for the business world. These days it's a requirement to know computers, so I prepared for that. You've been with one company your entire career. Don't you think you'll have a tough time adjusting to a new environment? In my company, my projects change very frequently, and I was required to ramp up on new technologies. I'm also very friendly and like to meet new people, so I think I'll have an easy time adjusting to a new environment. What do you do when you have a problem with the direct? I believe feedback is important to solve problems with the direct. I meet with my directs regularly and always provide suggestions on how to improve. I also use this time to work out problems we might have. It's important to let my directs know where I stand so they don't have to make assumptions. What do you do when a worker is giving the team more problems than helping? I follow a process of helping my coworker out any way I can. This can include assistance in their portion of the work or by encouragement. If that doesn't work, then we redistribute the work to make sure everything is covered. I believe it's important to let my manager know of the problem as well. How long have you been looking for a job? To be honest, I've been looking for a job for quite a long time. The job market hasn't been that great, and it's been a little rough. But I spent my year productively by reading up on new technologies, self-studying, and trying to challenge myself with small projects. I definitely learned a lot, and I'm really ready to start working again. Tell me about the worst manager you ever had. One manager didn't like talking to people. He always had his office door closed, and when anyone asked a question, he seemed disturbed. He was very intelligent and produced a great deal of work, but as a manager, I believe you should be approachable by your directs. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? 5 years from now, I'd like to see myself in a management position. I'm going to be learning and gaining practical experience until then, but eventually I want to become a marketing manager. I know there are a lot of things to learn, but I'm going to be working hard for the next 5 years. I believe opportunities come to great workers, and I'm going to try to be one of them. Tell me about a time you fired someone. In my last position, I had 4 people reporting to me. One of my direct reports failed to show up on time, complete assignments, and really didn't care about the work. I tried to encourage the employee, assigned different types of work to him, and even sat down and showed him how to do things. After 2 months of trying, I had to let him go. What do you do when you have a problem with your boss? I'm a very honest and open person, so anytime I have a problem with my boss, I always let him or her know. I make a list of things that bother me. I ask my boss for time to chat, and I reveal these problems and the reasons for them. I want to make sure I'm not being offensive or sound like I'm accusing my boss of anything. Tell me about a time you made a good decision. During my last project, we ran into a difficult problem. This was high priority, so everyone was instructed to find a solution. I started looking for more information on the internet. I even talked to a different manager on a different team. This helped tremendously, and our problem was solved. I made a decision to use every resource I could find, and in the end, it solved the problem. What is your management philosophy? I believe management should provide guidance for employees to do their job well. This includes several meanings. First, it means management should provide challenging tasks related to the job that gives employees experience. This also stretches their abilities and brings growth. Also, by guiding employees to do their job well, it benefits the company by having productive employees. In your previous position, how much time did you spend in meetings? In my last position, we had large projects that involved multiple people. We had meetings to discuss the project and worked in teams whenever it involved overlap of feature. After the meetings and working with the team, I was required to finish my work by myself, so it was quite balanced between meetings, teamwork, and working by myself. What are your weaknesses? I'm too detail-oriented. I never want to leave anything out and want everything to be perfect. This is bad because it slows down my work. Initially, I tried to work faster to compensate, but that only made me sloppy.
So I decided to put more emphasis on priority and planning. By doing so, I'm hoping that I can make the proper decisions on what to work on and what to intentionally leave out.
What were the most memorable accomplishments in your last position? My last position was selling copy machines. I had one month where I broke the sales record for a given month. I think that was a great accomplishment. However, throughout the calendar year, I exceeded the average number of sales by 20%, 10 out of 12 months. Having a great month is good, but I feel it is a greater accomplishment maintaining solid numbers throughout the whole year.
What are your long-term goals? My long-term goal is to become a partner for a consulting firm. I know the hard work involved in achieving this goal, and I know that many people fail to become a partner. That's not going to stop me from working hard, learning everything I can, and contributing to a company where I'll become a valuable asset. I know it's not a guarantee, but becoming a partner is a long-term goal of mine, and I'm going to work towards this goal throughout my career.
What do you expect from your manager? I expect my manager to give me relevant work, to be accessible, setting an example through action, providing both positive and negative feedback so I can improve, and finally a manager that will help me succeed. Ultimately, I know it's my responsibility to be a great performer, but having a manager that I can learn from can help me grow that much more. That's what I'm looking for.
How do you make important decisions? I think all decisions are important, and having as much information about the decision is one of the most important aspects. After examining all the facts, I would think about the outcome and consequences of each action, and after weighing the pros and cons, I would come to the best decision possible. However, I'm aware that some decisions are not as black and white. In this situation, I would rely on my experience, or even work with my team members to come up with the best decision.
Have you managed people in any of the positions you've held? I never held a position where I was managing people, but I had a lot of experience where I was in charge of large projects. Although it was my coworkers, I had the experience of taking the lead on projects where I had to manage people for a specific time period. Although I didn't experience the full aspect of managing people, I learned how to bring people together, how to use individual strengths of each worker, and how to organize and break down a large task to distribute to several people. Have you fired anyone? And if so, why? Oh yeah, I fired a lot of people. All of the reasons were the same. They were not performing their jobs. I believe in good management. I believe I should mentor and help grow our employees. This is a business, and we need to do whatever we can to help our company grow. One of the biggest factors on the success of a company is having great employees. So I won't hesitate to fire someone who isn't performing their job. It leaves more room to bring in someone who will benefit the company. How will your performance in your worst class affect your performance on this job? I remember I did terrible in my astrology class. I didn't have much interest in the subject, and I really didn't know that I would struggle in it. I thought about just doing enough to make it through, but I decided I was going to put some effort into it. I continually asked questions and studied more for this class than I did in others. I got a B for all my effort, but at least I didn't give up, and I kept pushing forward. So now I know that whether I like a project or not, I'll do the best I can because it's my responsibility. What could you have done to improve your relationship with a manager you didn't like? I had a manager in the past I didn't like that much, but I couldn't say he was a bad manager. Our personalities conflicted and we had some arguments. This affected my performance and willingness to work in the beginning, but I asked myself the same question. I thought I should try to get along with my manager despite my personal feelings. I set them aside and maintained a professional relationship. Taking this approach really helped. Because I was willing to look past minor differences, our work relationship got stronger, and I performed at a higher level. Who do you think are our two major competitors? The biggest competitor is Burger King. Wherever you see a McDonald's, it's common to see a Burger King nearby. They specialize in flame-broiled burgers and use that as their marketing strategy. The Whopper is the #1 selling burger, selling approximately 30% more than all other burgers. The second competitor is Wendy's. Although in some regions other hamburger stores sell more, if you take international sales into consideration, Wendy's clearly is a strong competitor. They advertise opening late, and concentrate on their dollar menu, luring people in to buy other more expensive items.
What were the most memorable accomplishments in your last position? I think the greatest accomplishment in my last position was implementing a simple process that reduced the number of broken builds by 20%. Whenever we have a broken build, it slows down work for 20 different people. That puts risk on slipping the ship date. But my process involved following 25 steps prior to building to ensure a successful build. The 25 steps only took 15 minutes to complete, and we reduced the number of build breaks significantly. It worked for our product, and upper management instructed other groups in our organization to put this process in place. I really felt excited about that accomplishment.
Do you see that stapler? Convince me to buy it. We are proud to carry this stapler. It's very durable and easy to use. Loading the staples is as simple as clicking this button on the bottom to open the top. The design is made with more curves to make it more appealing on the desk. It also is designed with more safety in mind. If you accidentally drop the staple on your foot or hit it with your hand, the curves are smooth enough where it will not break the skin. The warranty on the stapler is great too. It comes with a 5-year guarantee. We are currently offering this stapler for a low price of $19.99. We'll have a low price guarantee. If you find a lower price in the next 30 days, we will gladly pay you the difference. Tell me about your last 3 positions. The first position I held was working at Radio Shack as a salesman. I learned a great deal about retail stores, about sales and working with customers, and became more independent. I thought I learned a great deal and enjoyed my work, but I wanted to experience different types of work. So I started working for Verizon. I had an office job and did a variety of different tasks, such as planning, data entry, and organizing projects. I learned a little about the office setting, but I wanted to get back into sales. So I was given an opportunity to sell cell phones for Verizon at a retail store. I used my past sales experience and worked hard, becoming one of the top salesperson 3 years in a row. I've been there ever since.
What are your strengths? I'm very detail-oriented, good at managing time, and very honest. I always incorporate managing time and being detailed together. By nature, I have been detail-oriented, and that resulted in taking too much time on a particular task. After incorporating time management into the mix, I found that my work and efficiency increased dramatically. I plan better and produce higher quality work in a time-constrained environment. Finally, I'm a very honest person. When I was working as a valet attendant during college, a lady gave me a $20 bill to pay for a $3 fee. She almost drove off the lot, but I stopped her and said, "Here's your change." My coworkers said I should have considered the change as tip, but I know what I did was honest and right. You can fool other people, but you can't fool yourself. That's what I believe.
Tell me about your last position. What did you do and how'd you do it? Include the people you worked for and the people you worked with. In my last position, I was a senior auditor. My duties included auditing governmental businesses and Native American tribes. For all the audits I was conducting, I was the in-charge auditor, overseeing the audits of other team members and doing a portion of the audit myself. I have experience in conducting an audit from beginning to end without supervision, and I worked with controllers and senior accountants on a regular basis. Along with working with experienced and knowledgeable clients, I also had to work with junior-level accountants that didn't know all the details of auditing. I was clear and concise in asking for what I needed. In the last year, I was working as a senior auditor. I planned and organized each visit to our client site. I regularly trained and managed new members of our team, and I was the go-to person for technical auditing questions.